All right, so Week 3 SEC QB recap. We're going to go through every SEC quarterback that played an FBS opponent. So this week it was every quarterback but Blake Shapen from Mississippi State. They played Alcorn State. We're going to go through every quarterback's rating. We have a QB spotlight model. It's not perfect by any means, but it gives a rating, and we'll go through that rating and what that rating kind of entails here in a second. And then at the end, we'll give our own rating. Usually, our top 5 differs from the model's rating. This time, it's actually pretty close, I think, which would be the first time this season so far. So real quick, before we go through these ratings, let's talk about what the model makes up. Again, it's not perfect, but does a good enough job giving, I think, a broad overview of our quarterback's performance. So we have an accuracy and efficiency score. So we use adjusted completion percentage with yards per attempt to give us a score. That's that's the main weight of this model. The second one is adjusted explosive score. So we use 20-yard completions. We combine that with their completion percentage or their adjusted completion percentage of those type of throws. We have a turnover avoidance score. So we use fumbles and interceptions. Even if that fumble is recovered by their team, it still goes against the quarterback. We have a third down and a red zone score. We just use QBR right now. It's the best kind of version we can use right now. It's not perfect, but it gives us a decent score. Then we have an athleticism score, and we combine total rushing yards, not including sacks, with 10-plus yard runs for the quarterback. So again, we're going to go through these ratings real quick. We'll talk about why each quarterback scored, how they scored, and then we'll give our own top 5 ratings, kind of divorcing it from the model. But I think we're going to be pretty on par with the model this week. If you have any questions, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We do QB spotlight, or we do quarterback, SEC quarterback breakdowns, recaps, previews every single week. We're not in our home office, so I apologize. The scenery is a little bit different here, but people probably don't care all that much. So let's go ahead and get into it. We'll work from the lowest scored quarterback all the way up. So lowest scored quarterback, lowest 3 were Luke Doty, Arch Manning, and DJ Lagway. Probably no surprise there. Luke Doty scored the lowest. The South Carolina quarterback who got put in for Lenore Sellers when he got hurt, it was a 72.9. Manning was a 74.1. Lagway was a 74.5. So for context, the average score last year of FBS quarterbacks returning was 79.9 or 79.1. So anything above 80 is kind of what you're shooting for. 90 is elite. Low 70s is not great here. And Doty scored so low, and same with Manning, because the yards per attempt were 5.3 for Doty with a 70% adjusted completion percentage. And then Manning's was even worse, 54% adjusted completion percentage and 4.6 yards per attempt. Manning, the reason he scored slightly higher was just because of his rushing yards, and he had more 10-yard runs than Doty. And then, of course, DJ Lagway, 5 interceptions is really going to hurt him. But even without those 5 interceptions, his yards per attempt was, 5-something, I believe, right? 5.9. Yeah, so just not a great game overall. The 4th lowest quarterback, Diego Pavia, scored a 76.1, and he played better than the model suggested. When they go on, they beat South Carolina. He just didn't have the rushing yards he usually puts up. He only had 28 yards on the ground, no rushing attempts that were higher than 10 yards or more there. But usually he does score a little bit higher than that. I think he played better than the model suggests. He did have the interception, did have a fumble, and so that's kind of why it dinged him. His yards per attempt were only 7.1 as well. Okay, next quarterbacks, Jackson Arnold, Auburn quarterback. Decent game on the ground, by 40-something yards on the ground, 49 yards on the ground, no explosive runs. Yards per attempt, 5.9. His adjusted completion percentage was only 65.2. Only 1 explosive pass play. So that's what dinged him. He still had a fine score against South Alabama, but still passing so far is what has dinged him and why he hasn't got a higher grade. Last week against Ball State, he scored much higher. Okay, after that, we got Cutter Boley from Kentucky starting for the first game of the season. Played fine. 11.4 yards per attempt. Good yards per attempt. Had several explosive passes. QBR was low, meaning third downs, red zone, not great situational football. Not a bunch of yards on the ground. And adjusted completion percentage was fairly low as well, but still 81.7 is fine. Next was Marcel Reed, and this is where I think he played much better than the model. The model has him right in the middle of the pack, 81.9, but one of the model's flaws, again, there are many flaws, we're working to make it better, is that doesn't take competition into consideration. So going to Notre Dame, playing in a hostile environment, getting down by 10 or so early and coming back, I think deserves some some more credit than what the model can give. And so that's why it was at 81.9. His adjusted completion percentage was 48.6. Not great. He missed several throws, but his yards per attempt were 9.7, hit on some explosive plays, utilized his legs just enough, and had a good QBR, 77.9. And if you watch the game, he made plays when he had to make plays. So that's why his QBR was a bit higher than if you look at the rest of his numbers and than what those numbers could suggest. So Marshall Reed is an example of a quarterback who I think played better than what his rating or model suggests. So that puts him right in the middle of the pack. Okay, next is John Mateer, 84.4. Had some plays on the ground. Didn't have any explosive pass plays. That's what kind of hurt John Mateer. Had zero or just one explosive pass play. And his yards per attempt, 8.3, adjusted completion percentage, 67.7. So that's what kind of dinged him. Still, 84 is a good grade. Like, for example, anything between 82 and 84 is pretty solid. 85 and above is going to be really good. Then 90 plus is pretty high end. Last year, we only had 3 quarterbacks graded 90 plus throughout the entire season. This week, we had 4. It's pretty impressive. Okay, after John Mateer, Bo Pribula from Mizzou scored right at 85. That's going to be kind of that high end area. Yards per attempt, 7.9. They didn't need to do much against Louisiana, right? Didn't need to do much. Had a good game. He may be one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC at the end of this year. So again, played a good game, had a good rating. Didn't need to do much against Louisiana. Next was Garrett Nussmeier, 86.8. So that puts him at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the 6th highest grade. This is another one I disagree with the model. I'm not sure why he rated so high. There were several drops that made his completion percentage go up to 75%. Without the adjusted completion percentage formula, I think it was the high 50s, I believe. His yards per attempt were 8.1, had several explosive pass plays, and was actually pretty accurate on those explosive pass plays. He was 2 of 3 on balls thrown 20 yards or more downfield, but that third attempt was a drop, so he was actually 100%. So that's what helped him score a bit higher. But if you watch that game, you know that offense was not great. And so I would have picked Marshall Reed had a better game than Garrett Nussmeier, right? But still, the model shot out at 86.8, so that's an area we probably disagree with. Okay, number 5. Here are the top 5 according to the model. Joey Aguilar, 87.8. Let's see here. Sorry about that. I had a lot of knocking back there. But yeah, Joey Aguilar, 87.8. He led the SEC this week in explosive plays, explosive completions. Balls thrown 20 yards or more downfield. He was 5 of 6, especially playing against Georgia. His yards per attempt were 10. Had 2 interceptions, had a fumble that dinged him, and didn't really do anything on the ground. So if he was able to eliminate those turnovers, if he was able to maybe utilize his legs a bit more, he probably scores a bit higher. Okay, number 4, according to the model, Taylon Green, 90.2. I thought Green played really good. I mean, you score, 35 against Ole Miss? You hope you can win, even though that wasn't the case. But Taylon Green had 115 yards on the ground, had 7 rushing attempts of 10 or more yards, and actually had a QBR of 96. He had the highest QBR of any SEC quarterback this week. So played really good, 90.4. His only ding, if you want to call it a ding, was just his yards per attempt wasn't super. It was high, but it wasn't as high as some of the others. Then his adjusted completion percentage was 72, which is still solid, right? Anything above 90 is top end. But what really made him stand out was his ability to run the ball. Okay, number 3, Gunnar Stockton, 94.1 for Georgia here. So biggest thing for Stockton, had a high QBR, had some explosive plays in the air, and had some explosive plays on the ground. He just kind of steadied the ship, and the model, I think, kind of showed that with Gunnar Stockton. His adjusted completion percentage was 80, so it was extremely accurate. That was the 2nd highest completion percentage in the SEC. Two explosive passes, no interceptions, 9.7 yards per attempt, QBR at 93.4, which is a pretty high number. Made plays when it mattered. That 4th down throw to tie the game, and the 2-point conversion, that's really going to help his QBR score be high, the 3rd down/red zone efficiency score that we have. 2nd highest quarterback this week, Trinidad Chambliss from Ole Miss. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I watch a lot of these games on mute, so I apologize if I'm not pronouncing the name correct. But he had the 2nd highest score, 12.2 yards per attempt. That was the 2nd highest yards per attempt for any SEC quarterback this week. 79.3 adjusted completion percentage, so it was extremely accurate. Was able to push the ball downfield. Only had 2 explosive pass plays, only 2 plays where the ball was thrown 20 yards or more downfield. So he was accurate underneath, letting his receivers catch the ball and run. Also had 58 yards on the ground, 1 rushing attempt over 10. So he was the second highest rated quarterback, and the number 1 rated quarterback, according to the model this week, is Ty Simpson, the Alabama quarterback, who I thought played fantastic. He's my number 1 rated quarterback this week, with or without the model. Yards per attempt, 13.2, led the SEC. Adjusted completion percentage, 89.7 this week, led the SEC. Had 3 explosive plays. Was his completion percentage on those explosive plays, was it 100? I think it was 100%, because it may have been a drop. I may have that wrong, but regardless, it was accurate downfield. 39 yards on the ground, one rushing attempt of 10 plus yards. There were several drops too, and I was watching this game live. I think there were 2 or 3 drops I count. He could have very well been 26 or 27 out of 29, but he was 24 out of 29. So again, the top 5 quarterbacks according to the model, I think, are my top 5 quarterbacks this week. Ty Simpson played Wisconsin. That's a worthy Power 4 opponent and was lights out. Did not miss at all. Extremely accurate, pushing the ball downfield, throwing the ball on time, throwing with some rhythm. I think it just shows like you got to give a quarterback a time to develop. You can't just make a rash decision after week 1 struggling against Florida State, right? So far this week, played really well against Wisconsin. I think the model had Trinidad Chambliss number 2. I think that's probably mine too. You could probably make an argument he's number 1. Especially getting his first FBS start, SEC start, backup quarterback playing against Arkansas. I mean, what more do you want from him? 12.2 yards per attempt, pushed the ball downfield when he needed it, but there was a lot of underneath throws that he was able to hit open receivers. Lane Kiffin schemed up guys open, and he hit open receivers, used his legs as well. Then I think Gunnar Stockton, that was my number 3 guy as well. That's what the model had. That's what I had here. You could maybe make an argument Taylon Green, maybe make an argument Marcel Reed somewhere up there if you want to make a stretch argument. But I'm probably putting Gunnar Stockton for some of those big throws that he made in the fourth quarter, especially that 4th down touchdown to tie the game, the 2-point conversion to tie the game, and then how he just played after getting down 21-7 and then able to fight back. I thought that was a really good performance. You could probably make an argument he should be a little bit higher if you're a Georgia fan. Number 4 quarterback, Taylon Green. He played good enough to win. If he's the quarterback in any other team right now, they're probably pretty happy, right? Like, he played good enough to win, had 115 yards on the ground, not including sacks, led the SEC for any quarterback on the ground, had 7 rushing attempts of 10 yards or more. That's going to be higher than some of these quarterbacks are going to have the entire season as far as how many rushing attempts they have, 10-plus yards. And my 5th-ranked quarterback, I'm probably going Joey Aguilar. Even though they lost, I thought they came out on fire, and then Georgia came back. And in the fourth quarter, Tennessee was able to throw some haymakers to take the lead and should have won that game if they make a field goal. 5 completions of the ball was thrown 20 yards or more downfield. I think you could make an argument for Marcel Reed to be in the top 5. Maybe I'm being a bit biased here, just from watching that game and seeing how Reed was able to respond. He missed several throws. He had an interception, but he was able to respond back, and just beating Notre Dame on the road, I think, is a pretty impressive victory here. But anyways, I think this week I do agree with the model for the top 5. Tyson Simpson, Trinidad Chambliss, Gunnar Stockton, Taylon Green, and Joey Aguilar. They put up pretty big numbers. And typically we don't see that many quarterbacks score above 90. We had 4 quarterbacks above 90. We had 4 in the 70s, and then we had 7 in the 80s. Again, 79.1 is the average, was the average last year. 90 and above is very hard to do. So anything in the 90s is elite. Anything 85 plus is pretty damn good as well. 80 to 84 is going to be your typical good to solid game here. So I do want to hear from y'all. I'm sorry we're not at our office here. We're gone, so wanting to get this video in and just go through our ratings for week 3. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, what you agree with, what you disagree with. Again, our top 5 agrees with the model. I probably don't agree with with how highly Nuss was. I probably think Reed should be higher, but it got the bottom quarterbacks right. I think it got the top quarterbacks right. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about the SEC quarterback performance this week? What do you disagree with? What do you agree with? What do you want to know more of? We'll try to find some time to put out a more maybe detailed explanation of the model. It's not perfect by any means, but we're trying to tailor with it and tweak with it, to make it a bit better. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We put out a lot of SEC quarterback content. We're a big SEC quarterback hub, so if you like that type of niche quarterback content, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. It helps us grow. We'll see you next time. Peace.